What's up, guys? This is Coach LaRussa from MakePlayz.com, welcoming you back to another episode of Film Room Fridays. I want to announce that we'll be moving each week's episode to 7 p.m. rather than 5, so be on the lookout for that next week. And today we'll break down 5'7" point guard and Miami commit Chris Lykes.
Heart over height. It's a motto. It's a mindset that no matter the odds, you'll be in the fight. It means you work twice as hard to take your athleticism and skill to the point where your height no longer matters. It means you play the game with a chip on your shoulder because everyone has doubted you your entire life. And what these doubters don't realize is that they're fueling a young mind with determination, which is a very powerful thing for a mind to have. Today we'll talk about Chris Lykes, the 5'7" point guard who's overcoming the odds one day at a time. And next year, he'll continue his journey with the Miami Hurricanes. At 5'7", you don't get ranked in the national top 50 without bringing something special to the table. And as you can see here, he's got a special ability to break down guys off the dribble. But that doesn't mean much if he can't use your handle with a purpose. And that's part of what makes Chris so good. Here we're looking at him in ball screen action. And as you can see, he's able to come off the screen and blow by defenders with ease. But more impressive than that, he's able to finish among the trees. Some people view his height as a limitation, but that's a loser's way of thinking. You've got to make the most with what you've got. And if you ask me, it's part of what makes him great. Watch him split ball screens with ease. He can get into tight spaces that others can't. He's lower to the ground, which gives him better ball control, and he's quicker than just about everyone at this level. When bigs are down in the ball screen, Chris has no trouble going right at him. He'll use hesitations with shot fakes or hard in and outs to blow by him. And then he's got a quick layup that'll throw off the timing for the rim protectors. When they switch ball screens, he'll isolate the mismatch and go right at him. And when they cheat over top, he'll reject it to attack the basket. Now take a look at how he uses his body to go through his defender. He aggressively attacks his defender's hips. And right here you'll see him read the open post, rejecting the screen and attacking the open space. You can see here the defender is icing the ball screen, forcing him back in the opposite direction with the big and help. It's a good strategy for some, but puts a lot of pressure on bigs to stay in front of someone like Chris. We'll move on to more ball screen action later, but here we've got a nice setup. With each setup dribble, Chris is reading his defender's lead foot, and once he sees the defender changing his stance, he crosses over to attack the lead foot, opening his defender up and bursting past him for the layup. Here's an effective in and out dribble. As he rocks the ball, he rocks his shoulders too and uses a hard jab step. See how just one dribble can open up the lane. The last attack move we'll look at is the Euro step. He really sells his fake with his entire body, making it much more difficult to predict what he'll do. Back to the ball screen. I make this a focal point because it's used on nearly every possession of a college or an NBA game. And nowadays, point guards have to be able to score out of the ball screen. This means you have to be able to shoot off the bounce, but you also have to be able to run your man off the screen and know when to pull up. This requires you to be extremely decisive, because the amount of time that a pull-up is available is typically less than a second. This short window of time means that your understanding of each read has got to be high. Making decisions in an instant requires you to do 3 things: study film, rep the reads, and then display that on the court. This is clearly something Chris has spent a lot of time doing, because in the 2017 class, he was one of the best, if not the best, at knocking down jumpers off a ball screen. But even though ball screens are important, you've got to be able to create a shot without a screen as well. This is something Chris is extremely good at. Getting separation comes naturally for him, and he gets great elevation on his jumper, allowing him to pull up on much taller defenders. Now we'll look at his ability to score from all 3 levels in transition. He's got great speed in the open floor and will get all the way to the basket if nobody cuts him off. We've already seen him finish in traffic, so with a head of steam, it's even easier for him to finish around the rim. And when defenders do cut off the paint, he'll simply pull up from the mid-range. He knows how to create space and get to his spots, and he's a high percentage shooter from this area. And what makes him even more deadly is that he can pull up from 3 in transition. These are good shots for him and a nightmare for opposing coaches because it's tough to get back in transition before he's making a play. And this makes his height irrelevant. Matchups only matter in the half court, so if Chris gets going in transition, it could be a long night for his opponents. We'll finish up his scoring segment with his ability to shoot off the catch from deep. As you can see, many of these shots are from well beyond the college three-point line and into NBA range. This sharpshooting ability is another factor that negates his lack of size. And with more college teams playing zone nowadays, they'll have to keep an eye on Chris at all times. And with the game on the line, he's known to put teams away with his ability to knock it down from deep. So far, we've gone in depth with his ability to score the ball. And it's honestly remarkable that he's able to score at such a high level at his size. But no matter how big you are, you've got to have balance to your game. His ability to create off the bounce not only allows him to get shots for himself, it allows him to create shots for his teammates. And like we mentioned earlier, knowing your reads is crucial. You can't premeditate what you'll do and come off a screen and pull it when it's not open. You'll look really bad. Trust me, I see it way too often. This is why it's so important for you to get a full understanding of floor spacing as a guard. The court is a chessboard, and when you get to a spot, it'll force your opponent to make a move. The better you grasp this concept, the better your decision making will be. Attacking and getting to your spots will force the defense to make a decision. And the better scorer you become, the more help you'll draw. And the result is that you can make plays for your teammates just as frequently as you make plays for yourself. The last thing we'll look at is a matchup with Markelle Fultz. Now, they didn't always guard each other, and I'm not saying that Chris is where Markelle is at. All I want you to see is the impact that each of them has for their team. The fact that Chris was just as important for Gonzaga as Markelle was for DeMatha. And as good as Markelle is, Chris was equally as impactful in this game. The two of them were able to dominate for their teams in a number of ways. And the reason I'm showing this is to show that Chris is able to do what he does against top-notch competition. DeMatha had a future lottery pick in Markelle Fultz, but they also had an entire team of Division I players. This is what he's gotten accustomed to playing against. The Washington Catholic League is probably the deepest conference in America, so the fact that he's able to dominate that league, earning Player of the Year 2 years in a row, means that he's really good. He's not just a guy who looks good in mixtapes because he's small and he's flashy. His game translates, and he's going to have a chance to play at the highest level if he continues doing what he's done so far. This is not easy, and as we watch Markelle post him up, it's obvious that Chris has no chance of guarding him. There's literally a 9-inch difference between the two of them. But it goes back to the beginning of this video. Heart over height doesn't mean anything more than you're willing to fight. And regardless of the outcome, you're willing to come back for more. And when you take a punch, you just get back up and deliver one of your own. This is the mindset of a warrior. And it's a mindset that's a necessity if you're a little guy trying to play on the biggest stage in the game of basketball.
Thanks for checking out today's breakdown of Chris Lykes. Stay tuned for next week's breakdown on Friday night at 7 p.m. Make sure to hit that subscribe button, and we'll see you next week.
2017 WCAC champion, the Gonzaga Eagles, with the captains. We're